The Void Seeker shuddered as it adjusted course, its gravimetric engines compensating for the unusual spatial distortion that had caught Science Director Vexella's attention. 3 cycles into what should have been a routine survey mission of the sector's mineral-rich asteroid belts, and the director had ordered a detour, much to the crew's barely concealed frustration. "Rating confirmed, Director," reported Navigation Officer Thrill, his 4 upper appendages dancing across the control interface. "The anomaly appears to be emanating from the 3rd orbital body of an unremarkable G-type star." Vexella's translucent inner eyelids flickered with interest, her scaled skin shifting to a deeper shade of azure, a physiological response her species had never managed to evolve away despite their technological advancement. "Unremarkable?" she questioned, gliding across the command deck. "Then explain these signal patterns." With a gesture, she transferred the sensor data to the main viewing field. Complex electromagnetic waves pulsed in chaotic yet somehow ordered patterns, artificial without question, but unlike anything in the Zarkathian communication spectrum. Communications, perhaps, offered Chief Analyst Zethmore reluctantly. Though primitive. Inefficient use of bandwidth, wasteful energy signatures. Vexella studied the patterns, her 6-fingered hand involuntarily forming the sign of discovery, a gesture considered borderline religious fanaticism among the hyper-rational Zarkathian scientific authority. She quickly composed herself, aware that such displays could undermine her authority with the crew. "Launch a Class 3 probe," she ordered. "Full spectrum analysis." Ship Commander Krell straightened his posture, his ceremonial rank plates clicking together. "Director, protocol requires authorization from Central Command before investigating potentially inhabited systems. The Supreme Directive is clear." "I'm familiar with the directive, Commander," Vexella interrupted, her voice cooling to the formal register that indicated absolute authority. "The probe will confirm whether the signals are biological, technological, or natural in origin. Only then would authorization be required." What remained unspoken hung between them. A new discovery of this magnitude would guarantee Vexella elevation to the High Scientific Council. After 300 cycles of methodical research and careful political maneuvering, she was one significant finding away from joining the elite governing body of their species. The probe launched silently, its cloaking systems rendering it invisible to all but the most advanced detection systems, far beyond what any primitive civilization might possess. Hours later, the command deck fell silent as the first images transmitted back. Sprawling metal and concrete structures, primitive wheeled and winged vehicles, and the creatures, bictal, soft-skinned, moving with unexpected purpose. "Impossible," whispered Zethmore, forgetting protocol. "They appear to be simultaneously engaging in warfare and artistic expression. Their technology is inconsistent, primitive combustion engines alongside evidence of rudimentary atomic science." Vexella was about to order more detailed scans when the probe's transmission abruptly ceased. "Status," she demanded. "Probe has crashed, Director," reported the sensor officer. "Guidance system failure. Location: Northern Hemisphere, forested region, minimal population density." Commander Krell moved toward the communication array. "I'll notify Central Command immediately." "No." Vexella's decision was instantaneous. "Prepare an extraction team. We recover the probe, gather samples, and then report, with complete findings that guarantee our claim to this discovery." Krell hesitated, conflicted between protocol and ambition. "Consider, Commander," Vexella added softly, "how Central would reward those who deliver not just data, but actionable intelligence on a resource-rich world with minimal defense capability." The commander's scales rippled with barely concealed anticipation. "Extraction team," he announced to the bridge. "Prepare for deployment." Commander Krell personally selected his extraction team, 4 of the Void Seeker's most decorated security operatives. As they prepared in the deployment bay, he inspected their equipment with meticulous attention to detail. neural disruptors calibrated to unknown physiology. He instructed, examining the sleek, curved weapons. Adaptive camouflage optimized for nocturnal forest conditions. Localized gravitational stabilizers for rapid movement. Sir, ventured security specialist Mexlor, what combat capability should we anticipate? Krell gestured to the holographic display showing footage captured before the probe's crash. Primitive projectile weapons, armored vehicles with limited maneuverability. Nothing our technology can't neutralize, he assured them. Remember, we're dealing with a pre-interstellar species. Our priority is the probe and its data. Avoid contact, but neutralize any witnesses. Extraction Protocol Sigma-9. The neural mapping suggested these creatures would experience only temporary unconsciousness. Clean, efficient, and compliant with ethical subjugation directives. 3 hours later, their shuttle descended silently through Earth's atmosphere, cloaking systems rendering it invisible to the primitive radar systems they had detected. The landing was flawless, depositing them in a clearing half a kilometer from the crash site. Life signs detected near the probe, reported Specialist Rex. 2 entities, minimal movement. Likely observing the wreckage. Perfect formation, ordered Krell. Non-lethal approach. They moved through the forest with practiced precision, their adaptive camouflage bending light around their forms. The night vision enhancement revealed a small encampment near a primitive transport vehicle. A cooking fire burned low, and beside it sat a female human, methodically cleaning what appeared to be a primitive cutting tool. Specialist Mexlor moved to flank left while Krell and the others maintained position. The human showed no awareness of their presence, until Mexlor's gravitational stabilizer emitted a barely perceptible hum as it compensated for a sudden movement. The human woman stopped, her head tilting slightly. What happened next occurred so quickly that Krell's neural processor struggled to sequence the events properly. The woman hurled the cutting tool, a simple metal blade, with impossible accuracy, striking Mexlor's camouflage emitter. As the specialist's form flickered into visibility, the human was already moving, not away in fear, but directly toward the threat. Neural disruptors, Krell commanded, raising his weapon. The disruptor pulse hit the woman directly and had no effect. Her neurological system should have been temporarily paralyzed. Instead, she moved with fluid grace, ducking beneath Drex's follow-up shot and driving her elbow into his thoracic cavity with devastating force. Krell heard the distinctive crack of Zarkathian exoskeletal plating, a sound he had only heard in high-gravity training accidents. Impossible from a soft-bodied species. Retreat, full defensive. His order was cut short as something slammed into him from behind. A smaller human, emerging from the transport vehicle with another primitive blade. Specialist Frack managed to activate his emergency retrieval beacon before the first human disarmed him and used his own neural disruptor against him, the feedback loop from improper handling causing a catastrophic neural cascade. As the emergency teleportation field enveloped Krell and the surviving specialist, his last view was of the older human standing over his fallen team members, her expression not one of fear or confusion, but grim determination. She was speaking into a primitive communication device. "This is Ranger Hannah Reeves at Clearwater Campground. You're not going to believe this, but we need military response. Now." The pacification fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 12 Zarkathian warships arrayed in the sacred tripartite configuration that had heralded the subjugation of 16 civilizations. Fleet Admiral Zorn stood on the command deck of the flagship Inevitable Dominance, his ceremonial armor glinting under the lights. "Commence standard pacification protocol," he ordered. "Neutralize their global communication infrastructure, disable power generation facilities, and eliminate military command centers. The species will capitulate within 48 hours, as they always do." The tactical AI calculated optimal strike points with cold efficiency. Kinetic rods, simple technology by Zarkathian standards, but devastatingly effective, rained down upon Earth's major military installations. Communication satellites exploded silently in orbit. Power stations across North America went dark in coordinated precision strikes. First wave complete, Admiral, reported Sub-Commander Leth. Damage assessment indicates 78% effectiveness, within acceptable parameters. Admiral Zorn's expression remained impassive. Deploy ground forces to secure their governing centers. But the expected capitulation never came. 6 hours after the initial strikes, when communication should have been in chaos, a unified broadcast reached the Zarkathian fleet, simultaneously transmitted from multiple locations on 7 different frequencies. This is a coordinated message from Earth's United Nations. The transmission began. Your unprovoked attack constitutes an act of war. We offer one opportunity for your immediate withdrawal. Admiral Zorn actually laughed, a rare emotional display. They think themselves in a position to offer terms. Show me their military response. The tactical display revealed a bewildering scenario. Rather than centralizing their counterattack, Earth's forces were fragmenting into smaller units, operating independently without apparent coordination. When Zarkathian forces seized a military base in what they had identified as Russia, they found it nearly empty, its resources and personnel dispersed into the vast countryside. Admiral, Sub-Commander Leth's voice carried unusual tension. We're tracking aircraft approaching our destroyer unwavering. Primitive combustion engines, but their flight patterns are erratic. On the tactical display, the small human aircraft performed maneuvers that should have been impossible with their technology. Tight turns that would create gravitational forces lethal to their fragile physiology. Impossible, Zorn muttered as 3 human fighters sacrificed themselves to deliver payloads that somehow penetrated the destroyer's defensive fields. The Unwavering listed in orbit, its propulsion systems compromised. How did they adapt so quickly? Demanded Zorn. Their technology is primitive, their social structures fragmented, their biology inferior. The answer came 12 hours later when a Zarkathian strike team captured a human nuclear submarine. Following standard procedure, they attempted to extract its technology and command protocols, only to discover the crew had activated a self-destruct mechanism. They destroyed their own vessel rather than allow capture, reported the sole surviving Zarkathian officer. And sir, we found evidence they had already removed all sensitive technology and data before our arrival. They anticipated our tactics. In his private chamber, Admiral Zorn reviewed the neural scans of captured human subjects with growing unease. The results defied Zarkathian understanding. These humans operated effectively without the neural linkages that all civilized species evolved. Each human was a completely independent entity, capable of full autonomous function without central direction. They don't think like us, he realized with dawning horror. They don't think like anyone we've ever encountered. Dr. Samira Patel hadn't slept in 36 hours. The makeshift laboratory, converted from an underground parking garage beneath MIT's campus, buzzed with frantic energy as scientists from a dozen countries worked in organized chaos. At the center of the vast space sat their prize, a Zarkathian shuttle, relatively intact after being disabled by an experimental electromagnetic pulse weapon. The propulsion system doesn't defy physics, Samira announced to the gathered team, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. It just approaches it differently. They're manipulating gravitational fields through quantum fluctuations, but the underlying principles are consistent with our theoretical models. Dr. Chen Wei, formerly China's leading aerospace engineer, nodded in agreement. Their technology isn't magical. It's just the result of following a different evolutionary path of scientific discovery. Where we focused on combustion and chemical propulsion, they developed gravitational manipulation. Across the room, a Norwegian metallurgist examined the shuttle's hull. This alloy isn't beyond our manufacturing capabilities, she called out. It's just elegant, efficient. We could replicate something similar with our existing infrastructure. What had initially seemed like insurmountable technological superiority was revealing itself as simply an alternate path of development. The aliens had advantages of time, not inherent superiority. Meanwhile, in a former particle physics laboratory beneath Geneva, Dr. Marco Alvarez fed Zarkathian communication patterns into a quantum neural network. The linguist had made a breakthrough. The aliens' language wasn't just about communication. It revealed their hierarchical thought patterns. They think collectively, he explained to military observers. Each Zarkathian knows their place in a rigid hierarchy. Their language doesn't even have constructs for individual innovation outside authorized parameters. General Catherine Singh leaned forward. "Can we use this against them?" "We already are," Marco replied, displaying intercepted Zarkathian communications. "See these patterns? They're waiting for instructions from their fleet command for scenarios they haven't encountered before. We've been jamming their frequencies selectively. Not enough for them to detect, but enough to create decision-making delays." 3 weeks after the initial invasion, the first human Zarkathian hybrid fighters took flight. Retrofitted F-35s with adapted alien propulsion systems, they could now match the invaders' maneuverability. The pilots, already the best from air forces worldwide, adapted to the new technology with shocking speed. The decisive test came at the Battle of the Sea of Japan. Zarkathian warships moved to destroy key naval facilities, unaware that humans had broken their communication codes. When the aliens deployed their standard attack formation, they found not the expected defensive posture but a multi-layer trap. Human submarines, nearly undetectable to Zarkathian sensors that were calibrated for space-based threats, launched missiles with hybrid guidance systems. The alien ships, designed for the vacuum of space, struggled in Earth's atmosphere against weapons specifically calibrated to their defensive frequencies. The rout was complete. 3 Zarkathian destroyers crashed into the sea. In the aftermath, recovery teams captured 17 Zarkathian survivors, the first live prisoners for interrogation. Admiral Zorn received the battle report with stunned disbelief. "How?" he demanded of his tactical officers. "How have they adapted our technology so quickly?" The answer came from an unexpected source: the Zarkathian Science Directorate's preliminary analysis of human brains. They evolved as persistent hunters on a predator-filled death world, the report stated. Their neural structure optimized for creative problem-solving rather than collective efficiency. They don't think better than us, Admiral. They simply think differently. United Nations Special Envoy Sophia Chen straightened her jacket as the secure elevator descended beneath the Geneva complex. At 43, she had negotiated peace between nations on the brink of nuclear exchange, but nothing in her diplomatic career had prepared her for this mission. Face-to-face communication with an alien species currently trying to subjugate humanity. The translation algorithms are as ready as they'll ever be, Dr. Alvarez explained, walking beside her. Remember, their language doesn't just communicate ideas, it reinforces their social hierarchy. Every sentence contains markers of relative status. Sophia nodded. And we're deliberately omitting those markers. Exactly. To them, it will sound revolutionary, possibly offensive. The doors opened to reveal the broadcast chamber, a converted nuclear bunker now housing the most sophisticated communication array on Earth. Military personnel stood guard around the perimeter, weapons trained on the empty center of the room where the Zarkathian delegates would appear as holograms. General Singh offered a curt nod. "We've confirmed they've accepted the transmission. Their command vessel is positioning for optimal communication range. We'll be projecting your hologram aboard their ship as well." "And the fail-safes?" Sophia asked. "In place. If they attempt to trace or weapon lock, the system automatically terminates. You'll be perfectly safe." Sophia took her position on the transmission platform. "Let's make history, then." The air shimmered, and 3 Zarkathian figures materialized, their scaled forms adorned with elaborate armor that signified their high rank. The central figure, taller than the others, spoke first. "I am Envoy Commander Thrix of the glorious Zarkathian expansion fleet." The translation came through with mechanical precision. "You address me with appropriate deference." Sophia smiled slightly. "I am Sophia Chen, representing the United Nations of Earth. We address you as equals." The alien's reaction was immediate, a ripple of what appeared to be shock passing through their postures. The subordinate officers looked to Thrix, clearly unsettled. "Impossible," Thrix responded. "Your species is pre-interstellar. The cosmic hierarchy is absolute. Yet here we are," Sophia replied calmly, "communicating across technologies after having destroyed 3 of your warships. Hierarchy seems less relevant than results." What followed was a diplomatic exchange unlike any in human history. The Zarkathians, bound by rigid protocols, struggled to respond to human directness. When Thrix demanded Earth's surrender, Sophia countered by displaying footage of captured Zarkathian technology being improved upon by human engineers. "Your propulsion systems were elegant," she acknowledged, "but inefficient. We increased their output by 23% while reducing energy consumption. Your weapons targeting systems were precise, but slow to adapt. We've enhanced their processing speed." Thrix's scales darkened, what Dr. Alvarez had identified as a sign of extreme agitation. Primitive species cannot improve upon Zarkathian technology. It violates the natural order. Sophia leaned forward. "Perhaps your understanding of the natural order is incomplete. We propose cessation of hostilities while we both reassess." "Unacceptable," Thrix responded. "Your species will submit or be eradicated." Sophia had anticipated this response. As Thrix continued his threats, intelligence officers confirmed what sensors had detected: a subspace detonation package embedded in the communication signal, designed to obliterate the human delegation. The fail-safes triggered. The holographic projections dissolved, leaving the Zarkathians transmitting threats to an empty room. In orbit, aboard the command vessel, Thrix's victory proclamation died in his throat as he realized the humans had anticipated betrayal. Worse, they had maintained the connection long enough to complete a comprehensive scan of his vessel's systems. They knew, he whispered to his subordinates. They expected deception. "What manner of species thinks this way?" Colonel Alejandro Vega limped slightly as he walked the perimeter of Singapore's quantum computing center. The injury, a souvenir from an early skirmish with Zarkathian ground forces, had ended his frontline career but sharpened his strategic thinking. "The facility looks too valuable to be this poorly defended," observed General Singh over the secure channel. "Are you certain they'll take the bait?" "Their psychological profile suggests they will," Alejandro replied, watching technicians install the last of the modified servers. Zarkathians value processing capability above all else. Their entire society is built on computational efficiency. This facility houses what appears to be Earth's most advanced quantum processors. What the aliens couldn't know was that the real quantum computing center had been evacuated weeks ago, its critical components relocated to a hardened facility beneath the Australian outback. What remained was an elaborate trap. "The virus upload is complete," reported Dr. Yusuf Rahman, the operations lead programmer. "We've incorporated elements of their own code structure, salvaged from captured systems. It's designed to integrate seamlessly with their network architecture. Unlike conventional malware, this virus wouldn't destroy or disable. Its elegance lay in subtlety. It would alter sensor readings, create phantom targets, and hide real ones. The Zarkathians would fight an enemy that existed only in their perception." "Evacuation complete in 30 minutes, Alejandro confirmed. "Then we wait." The Zarkathian response came faster than anticipated. 3 hours after the last personnel departed, alien dropships descended on the facility. Their approach was methodical, standard containment protocol for securing valuable assets. They deployed jamming fields to prevent remote detonation of explosives, unaware that humans wanted them to capture the facility intact. From a command post 10 kilometers away, Alejandro watched through surveillance drones as Zarkathian technical specialists entered the server farm. Their body language, now familiar to human intelligence analysts, indicated excitement at their prize. Connection established. Dr. Raman reported as the first alien data probe interfaced with the quantum servers. Virus deployment initiated. Across Earth's defensive networks, operators held their breath. The virus would take hours to fully integrate with the Zarkathian systems without detection. Meanwhile, Russian and Chinese submarines, positions concealed by ocean currents that confused alien sensors, launched modified missiles toward the alien fleet's secondary vessels. The warheads contained no explosives, only targeted electromagnetic pulse generators designed specifically to match Zarkathian shield frequencies. The coordinated strike hit 7 alien ships simultaneously. As their systems temporarily failed, a second wave of human aircraft, flying without electronic emissions, using retrofitted alien propulsion, but piloted manually, delivered boarding parties. By the time Admiral Zorn realized something was wrong, the virus had compromised his flagship's sensor systems. The tactical display showed his fleet in perfect formation, all systems optimal, while in reality, 3 support vessels had been captured and 4 more disabled. Admiral, his tactical officer reported with growing panic, human forces are appearing without warning. Our perimeter sensors show no approach vectors. Zorn's confusion turned to horrified understanding as his ship's primary systems began responding sluggishly. We've been infiltrated, he realized. Their primitive electronic attacks shouldn't be possible. Then came the most disturbing development. Human forces attacking with perfect precision during the planet's night cycle, exploiting the Zarkathians' biological weakness, their poor visual acuity in darkness, a result of evolution under their binary sun system. They know, Zorn whispered. Somehow, they've learned everything about us. Admiral Keisha Williams stood on the bridge of the EFS Defiance Earth's first FTL-capable warship. The vessel represented humanity's greatest achievement, a hybrid creation combining reverse-engineered Zarkathian technology with human innovation. 4 other ships flanked it in formation: the Resilience Audacity Courage and Hope Final systems check complete, reported Captain Mikhail Petrov from Tactical. All ships report ready for transition. Keisha took a moment to absorb the significance of what they were about to attempt. 8 months after aliens appeared in Earth's skies, humanity was taking the fight to the stars. Send the final transmission to Earth Command, she ordered. Then initiate the jump sequence. The modified Zarkathian drive engage, creating a controlled gravitational distortion that bent space-time around the small fleet. The stars blurred, stretched, and then snapped into new configurations as they emerged at the coordinates extracted from captured Zarkathian navigational data, the edge of the invader's home system. Passive sensors only, Keisha commanded. Let's see what we're dealing with before they know we're here. What the sensors revealed left the bridge crew in stunned silence. The Zarkathian homeworld wasn't the center of a vast empire as their propaganda had claimed. Instead, it was a heavily industrialized planet surrounded by enormous orbital structures, shipyards and defensive platforms that dwarfed anything in Earth orbit. Most tellingly, the structures bore architectural elements from at least 3 distinct design philosophies. They're a client state, realized Dr. Elena Kostova, the mission's chief xenoanthropologist. Those aren't Zarkathian designs. They're building ships for someone else. Further observations confirmed her assessment. The Zarkathians weren't conquerors. They were conquered, forced to serve as the military arm of a greater power that the translated data referred to only as the collective. We need to get closer, Keisha decided. Captain Petrov, prepare a stealth approach to the 4th moon. I want detailed scans of those shipyards. As the Defiance maneuvered carefully through the system's outer planets, they detected something unexpected. A small vessel approaching on an intercept course, broadcasting on frequencies that didn't match Zarkathian communications. They've seen us, Petrov warned, weapons systems powering up. Wait, countered Dr. Kostova. That signal pattern, it's not an alert. It's repeating too regularly. I think it's a greeting." When the vessel came within visual range, it became clear this was no Zarkathian craft. The sleek, organic lines and bioluminescent hull belonged to something entirely different. Against standard protocol, but following her instincts, Keisha authorized reception of their transmission. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a creature unlike anything they had encountered, a being with multiple tentacle-like appendages and iridescent skin that shifted colors as it communicated. "We are Nexeri," the translation matrix interpreted. "We have awaited others who resist the collective. Your arrival was predicted in our probability matrices." The revelation that followed changed everything. The Nexeri were one of 17 species subjugated by the collective, forced into specialized roles within their interstellar empire. The Zarkathians, with their hierarchical psychology, had been molded into perfect enforcers, conquest troops dispatched to expand collective territory. "The Zarkathians attacking your world are merely tools," the Nexeri explained. "But your resistance has created ripples through the subjugated worlds. For the first time in 12 generations, the collective faces meaningful opposition." Keisha realized they had stumbled upon something far more significant than intelligence gathering. They had found allies. "We came seeking information," she told the Nexeri representative. "It seems we found a revolution instead." Hannah Reeves checked her equipment one final time. The combat suit, a fusion of human design and alien materials, felt almost weightless despite its formidable protection capabilities. The neural interface headband, developed from Nexeri Biotech, allowed her squad to communicate without detectable emissions. "Hard to believe it started with a camping trip," remarked Lieutenant Rodriguez, her second in command. "And now we're about to board the command ship of an interstellar empire." Hannah nodded, memories of that first alien encounter in the Montana wilderness flashing through her mind. They should have picked a different planet to visit. The assault shuttle shuddered as it approached the massive collective command vessel. In the 14 months since first contact, humanity had evolved from desperate defenders to the vanguard of a multi-species liberation force. The Nexeri had contributed their biotech expertise, while 4 other formerly subjugated races had joined the alliance, each bringing unique capabilities. 2 minutes to boarding," announced the pilot. "Defensive systems are responding exactly as predicted." The collective's fatal flaw had proven to be its rigid hierarchical structure, unable to adapt to the chaotic, multi-pronged assault strategy developed by Earth's military leaders. Their ships, designed for overwhelming force against conventional opposition, struggled against human-led forces that refused to fight according to established galactic doctrine. "Remember," Hannah addressed her team, "we move fast. We stay unpredictable. These collective commanders have never faced ground troops that don't follow standard combat algorithms." The shuttle attached to the command ship's hull. Nexeri-designed cutters sliced through the alien alloy, creating an entry point that wouldn't trigger standard breach alarms. What followed was 27 minutes of precisely coordinated chaos. Hannah's strike team moved through the massive vessel like ghosts, their movements making no tactical sense to the collective's defense AI. When security forces mobilized to counter a threat in one sector, the humans were already elsewhere. The central command chamber doors slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Inside, 3 tall, luminous beings stood around a holographic tactical display, the first true collective entities humanity had encountered. Unlike their servant races, these beings appeared almost crystalline, with light pulsing through translucent bodies. "Species designation: human," announced the tallest being, its voice a harmonized chorus of tones. "You have disrupted the grand design. Your chaotic nature cannot be permitted." Hannah raised her weapon, a deceptively simple combat knife. "You're right about one thing. We are chaos." The collective beings, accustomed to ranged energy weapons and programmed attack patterns, were utterly unprepared for the brutally efficient close-quarters combat techniques the humans had perfected over millennia of fighting each other. Their crystalline forms, while impressive, shattered under precise strikes to structural weak points identified by Nexari intelligence. 3 minutes later, Hannah stood over the fractured remains of the collective leadership, breathing heavily as she activated her communication link. Command center secure. Uploading the shutdown codes now. Throughout the vast ship and across the connected fleet, collective systems began powering down as the Liberation Force transmitted the command authorization stolen from the fallen leaders. In Earth orbit, Admiral Zorn, now a prisoner of war, watched in disbelief as human representatives broadcast terms of surrender to the remaining Zarkathian forces. But what truly shocked him wasn't the defeat. It was the offer of rehabilitation and integration into a new interstellar alliance. "We don't conquer," explained his human guard, seeing his confusion. "We liberate. Even you." Zorn finally understood the fundamental truth. They hadn't just discovered a primitive world. They had awakened a force that had rewritten the rules of galactic civilization in less than 2 years. And somehow, impossibly, he felt relieved.